G'day guys, we're back again with the IFS from United Speed Shop, and I've got to say, what a great little Christmas present to be unwrapping. This is an awesome unit. I mean, I knew it was awesome from the pictures and everything, but to actually have it here, yeah, just so cool. I mean, I probably sat around for about an hour looking at it after I'd unwrapped it, so just such beautiful engineering on this thing. What they've done is they've actually retrofitted the Brembo brakes from the 2016 Mustang. So these are big 6-pot calipers, and I think they're 385mm rotors. Not 100% sure of that, I'll have to double check that. But yeah, it's got the Coyote engine mounts already made up, ready to go, and this beautiful rack and pinion system which they have custom made. Yeah, just an awesome unit. It's got QA1 coilovers, and yeah, so now what I've got to do is basically take it all apart, which is a shame. I'd rather just leave it like that and look at it. But yeah, we're going to have to strip it down to the basic cross member, and then we've got to fit that cross member in the car, and you know, obviously double check all our measurements and then weld it into place. And then that cross member will just get painted the same colour as the car or the engine bay if they're different, and then yeah, get reassembled. So happy days, really wrapped with it. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead, start taking this apart, and once we get it stripped down to the cross member, then we'll pick it up again and get into to fitting it to the chassis. Ready? Silence on the set. Can you shut up? Okay. Alright, so we've got this front end stripped down, and basically stripped it down all into its separate components so that I could put the cross member in the car. And if we have a look here, what I've done is I've slipped the cross member in, which has turned out to be a really good fit, and then just started reassembling the necessary things in order to be able to make sure that the suspension is going to operate properly, that we're not going to have any wheel foul up or anything like that. And so far it's looking pretty good. I mean, I really love this whole setup, this whole IFS, I was going to say IRS, but IFS setup. Beautiful steering rack. And I only had two scrappy old 20-inch wheels here, and the problem being with these is that the offset is totally wrong. So when you look at it like this, straight, that wheel is actually in about 70mm more than it should be. So these wheels are built for a fairly modern car, probably something crappy like an AU, and I don't like AUs. I really don't like AUs. Someone here loves AUs, but I won't mention that person. But yeah, so about 70mm too far in. So if you can imagine that wheel was out 70mm, out about here sort of thing, something like that anyway. I'm not going to go with very wide wheels on the front of this. I'll probably go with 20x8. I'd like to have smaller, definitely, but the problem is, by wanting to go with these big Brembo brakes, I'm restricted by size. So 20, at the moment it looks like 20 is about the smallest I can go with, because I checked my caliper clearance on the inside of the rim, and I've only got about 6mm on a 20-inch rim clearance, so I'd say that maybe I'm stuck with 20s, so just going to have to make the most of it. So probably go with 20x8s with, say, a 245/30 series. So as it stands, the reason these are no good is if I turn this thing full lock, it's gonna foul up on that brace there, and it'll do the same on the rear if I turn it that way. So yeah, but I'm pretty sure that once we put the right offset on, we'll be fine. So, and we went ahead again and put the IRS in, because again I wanted to double check measurements for wheels. Now this wheel's hanging right down at the moment. Actually, it's a pity we didn't have the jack under it for the camera, but anyway, when that's pushed right up, I mean, that wheel sort of disappears right up into the guard, and I can still have at least, I can add about 100mm to that rim, so I can probably end up with 12-inch rims, and they'll probably only have a positive, they'll probably, what would the offset be? They'd be plus 20, I think. So it's a really low offset. Anyway, I think the next step now, because all we're doing is we're basically just mocking things up to double check, you know, that we have the right fitment on things. So I think the next step is we grab the engine and gearbox and we see if we can slot it in there and see how that lines up with this cross member. If our engine mounts, when we attach, because obviously we've got a Mustang floor pan, so we'll start by actually mounting the gearbox, and then from that point, by mounting the gearbox at the back there, that's going to determine how things are at the front here. So it's going to be interesting to see. So we'll go ahead and we'll lift that up, we'll slide her in, and we'll see how she looks. Yeah, that'll be all right. And then this, yeah, right there. You're catching that lip, yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay, good enough. All right. Grab the welder.
It does sit on the angle a bit, but
You got the other bit?
I think it's up a bit.
Okay, so we're going to run into a problem if we keep going this way. This oil filter, and I'm not sure what this is, but it had heater hoses written on it from when we disassembled it. So this whole unit here, I'm not sure what the go is with it, but the engine mounts we got from United Speed Shop were designed to be bolted flat to the block, and this thing is sort of hindering it. So I don't know if when you buy a crate engine, if it has a different filtering system or what, but we're just going to take it off for now so that we can get the United engine mount on. So it looks like we've got a few complications. I'd say that, you know, when they designed this whole IFS, this whole front crossmember system, it's probably designed just to go in a, you know, in a fairly standard Falcon engine bay. The way that this is set up with the Mustang floor pan and everything else, the firewall is set back about 120 from where your normal Falcon firewall would be. which means that the engine itself is set back a lot further in the car than a normal Falcon. So we're probably more than likely going to have to get these engine mounts custom built. Yeah, because that's how I want the car to be. I want the weight to be as close to center of the car as possible. I don't want to bring the engine forward just to match the cross member. So we'll have to work it out. The other thing is this alternator is also like almost touching the upper control arm. So that's going to be another issue too. We may have to move the alternator to a different location. Okay, so what we've ended up doing here is I removed the rack and pinion just to make it a little bit easier to get in. So what we've ended up with is the engine is set back so far that we can't use those mounts as they're configured, so we're going to have to make some sort of alteration. We're probably out by about 120 mil, which is what I originally had planned when I did the original drawings of the car. So looking at it, we've got the engine in, we've got it leveled up, we've got it center of the car, and now it's just a matter of figuring out what we're going to do with these engine mounts. And we're also going to have to look at this oil filter, whether we have to run a remote oil filter or what have you. But I'm not going to compromise the original design by trying to move the engine forward just to match the cross member. Obviously the gearbox and shifter and everything is exactly where we wanted it. So looking under here, we've ended up with the gearbox mount in the original position of, you know, a normal 2016 Mustang. Alright, so we played around, we put the drive shaft in, and that's all bolted up nicely, all bolting up to the factory points on the floor pan. And back here, just where it fits up to the diff, it's looking okay. I'm not sure about the pinion angle, whether that's going to matter or whether I should adjust it, but we do have some adjustability here. So yeah, happy days. Alright guys, that's about it for this episode. Thanks again for watching, and please like, share and subscribe. And if any of you have got any sort of tips or pointers on that oil filter situation, if you know of any remote oil filter setups or anything for these coyotes, please let us know. That's going to be an issue because that oil filter is right where the rack and pinion needs to bolt up. So yeah, hopefully we can sort that out. I'm sure we will. Yeah, so in the meantime, we won't see you till the new year. So hope everyone has a great Christmas and a happy new year, and we'll see you all in the new year.